Hi, welcome back to Jules T channel. Today I'm going to share with you secrets on how to provide critical feedback without it backfiring at you. So I remember many years ago when I became a people manager, I wanted to make a great impression on the people that I manage. I wanted to be the good manager who always support her staff, who always give encouragement. But there was a specific colleague of mine who was not really performing well, and that person was also a friend of mine. And it becomes a little bit complicated when you want to give a feedback and yet you want to be the good manager. And it took me a long time to overcome this challenge, that challenge within me. I was fighting within myself. Maybe I should do this feedback next week, next month. I keep delaying that moment of giving that feedback. I'll just do it next week and I just want to forget it because I want to maintain a good relationship with that staff. But yet I know there's this nagging thing that is coming from others. I keep hearing complaints and I just didn't know how to do it. So it can be really difficult to give an honest feedback. If you want to praise somebody, it's so easy. But when you want to give a feedback for improvement, that's the part that comes a little bit tricky. At the time, I was not really confident in my role. And when I gave that feedback, it wasn't taken really well. There were a lot of excuses and I find it so hard to manage. After going through several rounds of these experiences, I realized there are certain things that as first-time managers, we need to look out for whenever we want to give feedback. So the first thing is to determine whether it is necessary to give this feedback. Many times people will come to you and tell you, hey, this person is not doing really well in this job, it's not on time when delivering the job, or the job quality is not up to par. So the first thing before you jump to conclusion is to actually investigate what is the matter, what was causing this complaint to come to you. So you need to do your due diligence by either speaking to the person or observing the situation. Sometimes it is due to a one-time occurrence. For example, a family member was sick, was hospitalized, so that person was not able to deliver during that time. So it probably is an exception case, and if the staff actually apologize to you, if something's not going to repeat itself, then I would say this kind of situations you can let it go, because I don't think that it's worth to run unnecessary stress towards that employee, because it is a one-time thing. But if you see that things are continuing and that mistake is being repeated and it's impacting the people around you, that's when you need to step in and do something about it. So tip number 2, before you give that feedback, the first thing that you need to do is to manage yourself, to adjust your mindset, because going into this conversation with a positive outlook is really essential. Ask yourself, what's the purpose of you going to give that feedback to the person? You are trying to help the person to improve themselves, to help them grow in the career. And if you do not step in right now, chances are in the next few months things are going to get worse, because this person does not realize that he's making a mistake, and that mistake is affecting the morale of the team members around that person. So take pride in helping someone in the career. When you know you're doing it because you want to help the person, then you're doing it for the right reasons, and you want to do everything to make sure they get out the rut. Tip number 3 is choose the right time and the right place. Sometimes that situation happens and you want to give a feedback, you need to be also sensitive to the situation. If there are a lot of people around and the place is not conducive for a discussion, maybe the emotions were running high at the moment, probably you want to take this discussion at a different time. My recommendation is for you to schedule a one-on-one with that person, maybe 1 or 2 days later in a private room where you can openly discuss that issue. But do not wait for too long, because after a week, 2 weeks, they might have forgotten what really happened. That impact wasn't there anymore. When you give that constructive feedback, it is important for you to look at them in the eye. Many times, first-time managers tend to be really embarrassed about it, and they don't have the courage to look at the person in the eye and tell them, hey, this thing that I see, what's going on? The outcome of your deliverable is not meeting the expectation. It's impacting the other team's members' deliverables. Tell them specifically what went wrong, what did they do wrong in their task. Don't talk too fast and rush it through. I'm just telling you, I heard that this thing happened and just watch out for it. No, that should not be the way. So if you have something that you want to feedback on, be calm and talk slowly and elaborate and be specific on the thing that you are not happy about. Well, Andrew, I think that program that you did was not really up to the expectations. It was not thorough enough in the way you wrote the specifications. There were a lot of points that were missed in the specification, such as A, B, and C. And because of that, the next person that took up your project, they could not perform the next deliverable because there were missing items in what you have produced. Specific, so that they know where they went wrong and they can do something to correct it. So when you're able to tell them where to improve, then they know, hey, this is the part that I need to look at and I need to work on it, and it will enable them to elevate their performance. Next tip is to set clear expectations for your employee performance. So you need to be specific whenever you set a task for your employees so that they know what are the goals and what are the objectives they need to achieve. Be clear on what are the timelines they have to deliver, what are the performance indicators they are measured against, the critical factors that will contribute to their success. So these are the things they must look up for. And the tip number 5 is to start the conversation by stating your intent. You can start off something like, I think you're doing a great job in handling the customer's feedback. When driving the project execution, there's certain place you could do even better if you could be a little bit more detailed on your analytical skills. Go into detailed specifics. Do more investigations into the problem that actually occur. I think that if you are able to fine-tune your analytical skills by deep diving into the problem, you're able to find the pain points of the customer. And by doing that, if you're able to enhance this skill to ask more questions, to think through it, then I think that you will be doing a fantastic job in executing this project. And really, I'm really excited to see what you can do in a global project like this. So when you give a feedback, be positive about it. Don't directly go into the negative side of it. Think of what the person has done positively and mention the area that you think that the person can improve. So sometimes when you get feedback from your team, remember, don't put your team in trouble. This is one of the few mistakes I made as a first-time manager. I named the person who actually did mention to me this thing. The next round, she did not dare to give me any more feedback because it made her look bad. So as a manager, describe it in your own words, what you saw, what happened, what was the facts that led to this outcome, and mention it to that person so that it is not something that you are talking behind another person's back. Rather, you are the manager and it's time for you to own the responsibility of being a manager to give that feedback. Tip number 6 is active listening. It's important for you to listen to what your employee has to say. Probably you could have misunderstood the situation. Probably others that told you the situation could have misunderstood it. So by understanding the pain points, what actually transpired, you can get to the root cause of the problem. When you are actively listening to the feedback of your employees, they will feel more engaged. They will feel that you are on their side and they will be more motivated or to act on whatever you say because you are listening to them. Tip number 7 is how to have this conversation. I used to have these one-on-one meetings only during my annual review, and it was really too late to do anything about it because by the time I get that feedback, I have no time to react on it. So it's important for you to have these one-to-one meetings as regular as possible. Once a week, twice a week, depending on your situation. And it doesn't have to always revolve around work. You can start off with something casual, something to break the ice, to get to know them better, and from there on, make the conversation friendly, comfortable enough for them to tell you enough information for you to understand what they are going through. And also, you can also be vulnerable, meaning that as you go through the one-to-one sessions, you can share with them your experiences, your mistakes that you made along the way. When they see you vulnerable, they will be able to open themselves up because they will see you're also as human as them and you make mistakes just like them. You're delivering the message that it's okay to make mistakes. Make it once but not twice. So if you're able to share with them the mistakes, they know the things that they should avoid in the future. Tip number 8 is to finish off the conversation by highlighting the positive behaviors or achievements. What went right, what you really appreciate them doing, and then what you want them to continue doing. So these are the things that you can talk about in the conversation. And tip number 9 is always to follow through with your feedback. Let's follow through the action items that they have suggested and actions that they're willing to take, and the result is a win-win situation for you as well as your staff. Tip number 10 is receiving feedback from your direct reports. It's important to always ask for feedback. What you can do better, because you're always giving feedback to your employees, but you do not receive feedback from your employees, and you cannot see your own mistakes. Get this feedback from them. Make them comfortable enough to share with you what can be done better. That way, you're making your work environment a better place to work in. So I hope you enjoyed this sharing, and remember to click on subscribe and like on this video. See you in my next video.